You don't
scrambling,
have to,
right?
yes. And so again, what you clicked on was duplicate and edit.
Hmm.
And then you click on edit timings, which is on the top middle portion of that screen. Yes. And so
Okay.
that will set it out. Next here, you notice how high is in lower case instead of title.
Hmm.
So you would edit everything. It's YouTube is getting so much better at actually typing in I'm and I in a cap. So thank God. Because I was kind of like, I'm like, are you serious? You don't know that I is supposed to be capitalized? So that was my biggest pet peeve, but they corrected that sometime during the winter break. And so now you just kind of move through. We don't
So
speak,
you just add punctuation
you
and
just
things like
add
that.
punctuation
Okay.
and environmental science, if that's the course name, and if something obviously
Yeah.
should have a comma or a period to make sense, then you edit that. But you've probably noticed when you go back and review your recordings that we don't speak in full sentences.
Hmm.
I pause, I kind of jerk around in my language. I'm very idiosyncratic in certain things. I laugh. And so a lot of times I find things that don't make sense. And when I hear myself, I'm like, oh, I mumbled because I speak to myself, which is
Mm.
not a good practice here. 'Cause I'm giving a presentation and then I'm talking to myself like, oh, where did I put that? Well, that's not really something that needs to be captioned. Oh, where did I put that? Or where are my
Yeah,
glasses?
right.
That's a big one. So then I just put in brackets, I'll say Monica mumbles, and that's it. Monica mumbles.
So they know it's not important to listen
Yeah, it's not
to
important. I'm
also.
just
Okay.
making sounds with my mouth, which I shouldn't do. And so you'll go and scroll down all the way. And once you feel comfortable with the edit, especially well in science, there are terms that come up that are not part of, I guess, everyday English speaking. And so YouTube might not be completely familiar with it, although YouTube's getting a lot better. AI is getting sort of better at recognizing things, So they start to get hip to the fact that you're talking about physics and chemistry. And so when you use another term, they're like, we know, because it's, she's talking about physics and chemistry. So this term must be that. Um, yeah. All right. So there it is. And you've kept it a nice 5-minute video. Wonderful chunking with that.
Yeah, as I said, I've been teaching online, so I do know some things that are good. So
Okay, so let's say
we're
you
just
went through the whole thing here
sure.
and that you found it, this is good, it didn't take you more than 2 minutes. But you know what? That truly is another reason to keep our videos short because
Mm,
captioning an hour-long lecture, that's not fun. It's not
no.
fun for the students to sit there for an hour. They don't know when to pause, and sometimes they give up. Um, and then also for us to caption. I mean, I had to hire my teenagers to help me caption because I just didn't have the bandwidth to sit there and, we don't really like listening to ourselves.
No.
Um, and so so I'm like, I let my teenagers get a quick buck here and get a skill. And so that's what I was doing. But see, it even hyphenated non-living. So I'm very impressed with YouTube now at doing that. And your recording of your slides also makes it so that that content is accessible. If your slides were just presented as a slide deck or a slideshow, PowerPoint, Prezi, then what would happen is that you would have to make sure that whole slide, every single page and image was accessible
Mm,
in order to embed it in the Canvas page.
gotcha.
Um, and so for me, I have to say that that's how I discovered to do this, what you have here, because I
Mm.
just couldn't make a Prezi accessible. The Prezis, I don't know if you've ever used them, they kind of zoom in and zoom out.
Yeah,
And so I thought, how am I going to make that accessible? And
right.
so back then, I haven't even tried again. Maybe they've become better.
Mm.
Um, that I said, well, and I went and I sought out some of the DSPS people. I'm like, help me, what do I do with this? And then
Yeah.
brainstorming, I thought, oh, so if I have a video and my captions are accurate and I'm reading what's on the slide, then that's accessible. And they're like, yeah, then that's accessible. I'm like, okay, that's it.
That works then.
That
Yeah.
that's going to be it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So here, if you just
So
click on
did
publish, because you can always come back
okay.
to this. So you click on
And
publish,
so that saved
that's
the
saved. And
work
so
that I
now,
did.
yeah, if you click on your video on the left to play it, and and click on the captions, the CCs there,
Yeah, it's on.
so that you can see the prompt.
Oh,
So turn it off and toggle back on. So notice how it says English instead of English auto-generated. Did you see it?
okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So that is a quick test. I will tell you that some of my course reviewers for the exchange, that's the CVCOEI California people,
Hmm.
that they actually went through my videos. And so although I felt that they were captioned because I was trying to be fancy, I was using, I don't know what, in my Apple filmmaking thing. So I was using clips, different clips, and putting them together. So what happened was that certain parts of my video were captioned, but bits in the middle or somewhere else were not. And
Hmm.
so, and I didn't realize that. And so when they went through my course review, they said, okay, your videos are great, but there are sections that are not captioned within your
Hmm.
captioned film
Hmm.
video. And so I'm like, what? And then they said, yeah. So, and they showed me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, how did that happen? And it was because I was splicing. I was trying to be too fancy. I'm just a lot more simple now. I don't do the splicing. I'm like, let me just give it to them. So
Sure.
this is great. Um, and we're recording this, you can go back and do it. Now, if you say you do have a visually impaired student and they're like, it was fine for the first 10 minutes and then I didn't, or first, minute and a half, and then I couldn't really follow, the screen reader couldn't read it or whatever it is,
Hmm.
then go back in, edit, and then you can do the same thing. You can edit that you already edited. And so you can always go
Okay.
back to that. All right, so let me see. I can go ahead and stop the recording of this.
Yes.
Or pause.